My name is Sandra Coos, and I am the founder and owner of Rise Above Your Story. Dealing with the aftermath of trauma is not easy. I know this all too well. You see, I had to face multiple traumas throughout my life. I was molested at the age of 12, sexually harassed at the age of 14, bullied at the age of 16, sexually assaulted multiple times between the ages of 19 and 25, and raped when I was 22. Whenever I thought life couldn't get any worse, it did. It took me many years to find my way back to myself. But once I began to heal, I found that the darkness within me helped me discover my light. And I discovered that I could thrive, not despite what happened, but because of it. I took my power back, and in doing so, I turned my past into a force for good. Today, I'm helping other trauma survivors heal and reclaim their lives. And to be honest, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. And so I am delighted to have the opportunity to share with you my view on the 5 things you need to heal after dramatic loss or life change. Number 1, you are not broken. There is no trauma too intense to heal or a point of no return. For many, trauma seems like a life sentence. It happened, and now they have to find a way to deal with it. But that's not true at all. Trauma is more like a heavy blanket that wraps itself around you really tight until you're ready to wiggle yourself out of it. Trauma does not define who you are. You can always heal. You can always put your life back together. There is never a moment where the trauma is too intense or that it's too late. You can always heal. But here's the thing. Trauma healing has no one-size-fits-all approach. It can't be. We're all individuals with individual stories, individual interests, individual needs. So we all heal in different ways. And that's why counseling, therapy, or EMDR work for some people, but not for others. There are many beautiful healing modalities out there. All you have to do is find what's right for you. Let me give you a few examples of some amazing modalities, therapies, and holistic approaches that can all help you on your healing journey. There's, for example, traumatic incident reduction, recreational therapy, yoga, Reiki, Tai Chi, Qigong, acupuncture. There's emotion code and body code, only to name a few. The key here is to find what resonates with you. Scroll back to the list that I just gave you and just start researching, see what resonates with you. And then start testing it out and see how that makes you feel. So in order to heal, we have to find the right approach for us. Number 2, allow your body to heal. We all know that our body is self-healing, but we usually only focus on the physical aspect of healing. So we forget that our body is healing on all levels. However, our body can only do its job when we let it. And when it comes to emotional trauma, we don't. And here's why. A paper cut is probably the most annoying wound any of us ever had. Am I right? And yet, we don't think twice about it. We rinse it under water, we put a Band-Aid on it, and forget about it. So why is it that we don't think about it over and over and over again? Why don't we play it back in our minds after it happened? Why are we not afraid of ever touching paper again? Because technically, the moment the paper cut into our finger became traumatized, literally. Here's the thing. A paper cut is predictable. We know why it happened, we know how to take care of it, and we know that it will heal on its own, because it always does. But when it comes to emotional trauma, on the other hand, we try to make sense of it. We play it back in our minds over and over and over again just to figure out why this had to happen. Because when it comes to emotional trauma, sexual assault, anything, there is no rhyme or reason. Because there was nothing we could have done. There was nothing we could have predicted. And that's why it is so difficult to let go of the emotional trauma. So we have to remind ourselves our body is self-healing, not just on the physical, but also on the mental and emotional level. But by continuously going back into the story, it's the same as if you would rip off the scab from the paper cut again and again, which means the wound would never stop bleeding. So in order to heal, we have to stop focusing on the story and allow our body to do its job. Number 3, embrace and understand your emotions. Human beings are incredible at suppressing. We can suppress anything. And most of all, we're artists at suppressing our negative emotions. You know, way too often we resent, fear, or suppress our negative emotions because we don't like how they make us feel. And understandably so. But what if, rather than suppressing our emotions, we allowed them to come to the surface and tell us the message they have? Because every negative emotion holds a clue toward what needs healing within us. We just have to understand their message. So let me give you an example from my own healing journey. When my husband and I got married in 2004, I had my little cousins as bridesmaids. They were, I believe, 4 and 6 or 7 years old. And then I hadn't seen them for a while because I moved to Canada right after the wedding. So when I came back a good 10 years later to a family reunion, they had grown up into beautiful young women. You know, I took one look at them and I felt so much resentment and anger towards them. And I couldn't understand why. This just hit me out of the blue. And I had no idea why I suddenly felt this way. I was aware that I had felt similar emotions before when I saw beautiful women walking down the street or on TV or anything, but I never gave it much thought until that day. Because honestly, there was no reason at all why I would feel like this towards someone I love. You know, my cousins had done nothing to deserve this emotional attack. And the whole day, I tried to make sense of it. I felt miserable. I felt so ashamed. I felt so guilty for feeling like this, and still, I couldn't shake it. I had absolutely no idea what was going on. So, on the way home from the reunion, I replayed the whole day in my head and tried to figure out what was going on, why I still felt so uneasy about it. And then I started to follow my feeling. I started to ask myself, why do I feel like this? And the more I thought about it, the more a picture emerged in my mind, and I started to understand what happened. So in essence, I was jealous. I was so jealous. I was so upset because they were beautiful. They were amazing dresses. They were thin. They were happy. And I didn't feel like this, but I wanted to feel like this so badly. And then it hit me that I felt ugly. I felt fat. I felt unlovable. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized what exactly was going on. So, you see, after I was raped when I was in my 20s, I made myself invisible. I stopped wearing makeup. I just wore frumpy clothes. I gained 60 pounds, only to make myself as unattractive as possible to the opposite sex. But the thing is that at some point I started to feel as ugly as I wanted the world to see me. And that's what I felt. This feeling of I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm horrible. And all I wanted was to be beautiful and loving life. And that was this jealousy. It was a trigger. It didn't come from my cousins. My cousins didn't have anything to do with it. None of the other women that I felt like this toward throughout my life. It was me. It was my trauma. So once I understood this, I knew what I had to heal within myself. So I observed and followed my emotions, and I understood what had to happen for me to heal. So in order to heal, we have to embrace and understand our negative emotions. Number 4, any dramatic loss or life change takes our sense of control. Just think about it. We had the rug pulled out from underneath us. We had control taken away from us. Control is the first thing we seem to lose when we're being traumatized, when something happened that was out of our control. So what do? We compensate. We become perfectionists. We become control freaks. We can become OCD if it's really bad. We get anxiety because we feel like we're not in control. So what we need to do in order to heal is take our control back. We have to stop reacting to whatever life throws at us. That's a trauma response. We have to take our life back and live life on our terms. Basically, we make the rules. And then gradually we will regain our sense of control. And with that, all those side effects like the perfectionism, the need for control, the OCD, the anxiety will slowly fade away. So in order to heal our trauma, we have to take our sense of control back. Number 5, release your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Keeping everything bottled up and suppress it doesn't work in the long run. Because everything that we try to keep hidden away in the depth of our heart and soul will always find a way to come back up, time and time again. What's even worse, we cannot suppress the bad without suppressing the good. You can't feel genuinely happy when you're suppressing your emotions. So many trauma survivors feel numb just because they don't allow themselves to feel. So the only way to release the negative emotions and allow ourselves to feel, allow ourselves to become happy again, is by releasing those emotions. Imagine your thoughts, feelings, and emotions to be a yarn ball that sits in your mind. It could be red, it could be blue, it could be green, it could be rainbow colored. Make it any color you want. Now take a pen and a stack of papers or a notebook and start to write whatever pops into your mind. Even if it's silly or it's something you forgot to put in your grocery list, write it down. And then just continue writing whatever comes into your mind. And as you write, imagine how the end of that yarn ball unravels and slowly moves from your mind over your shoulder, through your arm, into the hands, and into the pen and out on paper. And as you write, the yarn ball is slowly moving out of your body and onto the paper as words. And at some point you will realize that you're writing, but you have no idea what. You're just writing, and this is perfect. Because when you get to the point where you just write and without knowing what you're doing, you are releasing on a deep level. So you will bring thoughts to the paper you didn't even know you had. This is very powerful because it helps you to release on such a deep level. So in order to heal, we have to release our pent up emotions, and feelings and thoughts. And those were my 5 things you need to heal after traumatic loss or life change. I want to send a huge thank you to Thrive Global Magazine. And if you'd like to know more about me and the work I do, visit my website, riseaboveyourstory.com.